Joining me now is senior investigative reporter and assistant editor Brad Racino to talk more about the issue. Joining us on Tuesday, as always. Thanks, Brad. This can be a tough subject because many people question why inmates would get the vaccine before most of the general population. But tell me, why is it so important to vaccinate inmates?
It's a good question, but there are quite a few arguments for why it's important, as the reporters on this story, Jill Castellano and Mary Plummer, found. For one, people in detention centers have higher rates of many medical conditions, which makes them more susceptible to getting COVID. Also, they live in confined spaces, so the virus can just run rampant once it gets inside these facilities. And people cycle in and out of jails quickly, so they can potentially bring the virus with them from the detention centers into wherever they land after incarceration. Now, some counties have already offered vaccinations to all of their inmates. Sacramento, Santa Clara, and Contra Costa counties have done that, but San Diego County has not.
So what's going to happen here with that? Is there any hope, any plan to vaccinate the inmates in San Diego County anytime soon?
Yeah, so just yesterday, the state announced new eligibility requirements for the vaccine that included people with certain pre-existing conditions and people in congregate settings, which means it includes jails and prisons. Now, all of this is dependent on the amount of vaccine available. And as we've seen time and again, there are shortages. But to provide some overall numbers, we know that more than 42,000 inmates among California prisons have been vaccinated, and so have 25,000 staff. But more than 200 inmates have died from COVID so far, including 18 at the Richard J. Donovan State Prison.
We've all had to make tremendous adjustments over this past year to living in a pandemic, and many of us had the opportunity to social distance. Some people don't. It's especially difficult, if not impossible, in a jail or prison. So what has it been like living as an inmate during this pandemic?
Well, according at least to the San Diego chapter of the ACLU, it's pretty awful. They just filed a class action lawsuit that claims Sheriff Bill Gore and his department have inflicted cruel and unusual punishment on inmates by housing them in these crowded, unsanitary spaces without adequate medical care. The suit also says that correction staff have told inmates they will be the last in line to receive a vaccine. And, you know, people who advocate for change in the criminal justice system told Jill and Mary that, hey, we put these people into these conditions without providing them with the opportunity to protect themselves and to stay healthy. And is that fair, and is that justice?
All right, joining us with excellent investigative journalism every Tuesday, Brad Racino from iNewsSource. We appreciate your time. They are a nonprofit. They are donor-driven. Check them out at inewssource.org. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.